Every African village has its stories, whispers carried in the wind, warnings sung in folk tales. But none was as chilling as the story of Nena, the little girl whose own stepmother tried to silence her forever. She was pushed into the river, swallowed by the current, and declared gone. The villagers mourned, then moved on. But destiny never forgets. 20 years later, Nena returned, not as the fragile child who once wept for her father's embrace, but as a woman forged by the river, carrying power, grace, and vengeance. What she did upon her return shook the entire village, leaving a lesson carved deep into the hearts of all. Stay with me as I tell you the story of betrayal, survival, and deadly revenge. Okafor was a man known for his wealth of farmland and his upright character. He had a daughter, Nena, born of his first wife, who tragically died while bringing her into the world. From the very beginning, Okafor's life revolved around Nena. The girl grew in beauty and wisdom, gentle in spirit and quick with kindness. But Okafor, lonely and aging, soon took another wife, Adiku. At first, Adiku played her role with sweetness, smiling at Nena, serving her husband, and pretending to be a mother. But beneath her painted smile lay the green poison of jealousy. The villagers adored Nena. They praised her for her humility, marveled at her beauty, and admired her tender singing voice that drifted through the evenings like the sound of flutes. When people spoke of the future, they spoke of Nena. Adiku could not stand it. Her own children were often ignored in comparison. Every compliment given to Nena burned her heart like hot coal. She told herself, "How can my children thrive while this girl steals all the light?" And so the seeds of hatred took root. Slowly, they grew into vines that wrapped around Adiku's heart, squeezing out every drop of love. Jealousy turned to plotting. Adiku began avoiding Nena, giving her impossible chores, and snapping at her for the smallest mistakes. She whispered lies about her to villagers, hoping to tarnish her reputation, but the people only loved Nena more. One night, as Adiku sat by the fire grinding pepper, her thoughts grew darker. She imagined a life where Nena was gone, erased completely, and only her children shone. By the time the firewood burned to ash, she had made up her mind. Nena must disappear. The sun burned high and hot that day when Adiku called to Nena. "My daughter, come with me to fetch water. I need your help," she said with false sweetness. Obediently, Nena followed her stepmother, unaware of the shadow in her eyes. They walked to the river, carrying clay pots. The water glittered, calm but deep. As Nena bent to fill her pot, Adiku's hand struck. With one fierce push, she shoved the girl into the swirling current. Nena screamed, her arms thrashing, but Adiku stood still, watching coldly as the river swallowed her. When the last ripple vanished, Adiku whispered, "Now the world will forget you." The news spread quickly. "Nena has drowned." Villagers rushed to the riverbank, but no body was found. The current had taken her too far. Okafor collapsed in grief, tearing his clothes. He called her name by the waterside, his cries echoing into the forest, but there was no answer. Adiku wept with false tears, holding the man she betrayed, whispering, "Take heart, my husband. The gods have claimed her." The people mourned for a few days, but soon they forgot. Life moved on. To them, Nena had become another sad tale. But the river knew the truth. Deep beneath the waters lived the Ndumiri, maidens of the river. On that day, they had seen the struggling child. Moved by her innocence, they rescued her, wrapping her in glowing cloth and carrying her to their hidden kingdom. They healed her body, washed away her pain, and raised her as their own. Nena grew in their care, learning secrets no mortal knew, the healing powers of herbs, the chants of spirits, the language of waters. The girl who once feared the river became its daughter. Years passed. Nena grew into a woman of breathtaking beauty and unshakable strength. She was graceful as flowing water, yet powerful as the river in flood. The maidens taught her wisdom and discipline, and they blessed her with gifts. The ability to heal the sick, to call rain in drought, and to summon the river at will. But though her life was full, her heart often returned to the memory of her father. She saw him in visions, old, broken, coughing beneath a tree while Adiku lived in comfort. Every time she dreamed of him, the wound in her heart deepened. Destiny whispered, "Return." One evening, as the sun melted into red across the horizon, a mysterious figure walked from the river path. She was dressed in flowing white, her hair like silk, her eyes shining with a strange glow. The villagers stared in shock. Whispers spread. "Who is she?" "A goddess." "A spirit." But when she spoke, her voice was calm and firm. "I am Nena, daughter of Okafor." Gasps filled the air. Some people fell to the ground in awe. Others ran in fear, believing a ghost had returned. Okafor, weak and bent with age, hobbled forward. His eyes widened, tears streaming down his cheeks. "My child, my lost child," he cried. Nena knelt, holding his frail hands. Father and daughter embraced as the crowd watched in stunned silence. But Adiku's body shook with terror. That night, Nena gathered the elders and the villagers in the square. The moonlight painted the earth silver, the air heavy with suspense. "I was not taken by the gods," she said, her voice carrying across the crowd. "I was pushed into the river, by the woman who calls herself my mother." All eyes turned to Adiku. She stammered, denying, but Nena lifted her hand, and the sound of rushing water filled the air though the river was far. The ground trembled slightly beneath their feet. Murmurs filled the crowd, proof that she spoke the truth. The elders turned to Adiku. "Speak. Did you do this thing?" Adiku's lips quivered. Her body shook like a leaf in the storm. Finally she screamed. "Yes, yes, I did it. She stood in the way of my children. I wanted her gone." Gasps and cries filled the night. The secret was out. Nena's eyes burned with power. "For 20 years you lived in comfort while my father wept. For 20 years you feasted while I was buried in silence. Today, the river demands its judgment." The skies darkened. A wind swept through the square, scattering leaves and bending trees. The river roared louder than ever, though it was far away. Adiku tried to run, but her legs were weak. The villagers backed away, afraid of what would come next. From the distance came a rushing sound, like thunder on water. Suddenly, a great wall of river surged into the village square, glowing under the moonlight. It circled Adiku, trapping her in its embrace. She screamed, pleading for mercy, but Nena's voice was ice. "Did you show me mercy, Adiku?" The waters tightened around her. With a final roar, the river dragged her away. Her cries echoed into the night until there was nothing but silence. When the waters calmed, Adiku was gone forever. The villagers were frozen in awe. Some trembled, others bowed. Nena turned to her father, who stood frail and broken. She walked to him, placed her hands gently on his chest, and whispered the chants of the river maidens. A soft glow surrounded them. Okafor gasped, his back straightening, his strength restored. The years of suffering melted from his body. He looked at his daughter with eyes full of gratitude and awe. "My child," he whispered, "the gods have truly chosen you." The villagers cheered, but deep inside, they also feared her power. From that day, Nena became more than just a daughter. She became a legend. She healed the sick, blessed the fields, and guided the people with wisdom. Songs were sung in her honor. "Beware the wicked heart, for the river remembers. Beware the jealous hand, for destiny never forgets." Yet her story was also a warning. Parents told their children, "Do no evil, for the river may rise one day to judge you." And so, Nena's name was carved into memory, not as the girl who drowned, but as the woman whose deadly revenge brought balance to her world. And that, dear listener, is the story of Nena, the girl her stepmother tried to kill, who returned after 20 years with a vengeance as deadly as the river itself. This tale reminds us, jealousy blinds, betrayal destroys, and no evil goes unpunished. You may think destiny has forgotten, but when the river rises, justice always flows. Backhand index pointing right if you enjoyed this story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more African folktales filled with suspense, drama, and unforgettable lessons. Until next time, remember, the river never forgets. The end.